And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. It's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not pussy, but that's like beyond pussy or impossible pussy. You know what I mean? It tastes like pussy, but that's not quite what it is it? It's not blood, that's beet juice.
This segment captures the chaos and unpredictability of live stand-up, where an interaction with an audience member takes center stage. The comedian navigates a moment of awkward tension with humor, using exaggerated self-awareness to turn the situation into a bit. The realization that looking at someone during a joke can completely change their interpretation leads to a playful overcorrection. Now, eye contact itself becomes the problem. This tongue-in-cheek commentary on audience dynamics adds to the absurdity as the comedian mockingly apologizes for something as simple as making eye contact.
But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. It's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. People be surprised. I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my guts.
Things escalated when the fan, seemingly responding to a reference about brown parents, took issue with the comedian's delivery. The comedian, however, turned it back on them, pointing out that they were the one who made it about themselves. Instead of brushing off the situation, the comedian chose to confront it head on, emphasizing personal accountability.
And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these things. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop. You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together.
The closing exchange builds on the tension, with the comedian seemingly acknowledging that the room is losing patience. But instead of moving on, they double down, claiming they knew this would happen because they're from the future. This is a sharp way to regain control of the moment, acknowledging the audience's reaction while keeping the bit going. The suggestion that this could turn into an endless back and forth highlights the challenge comedians face when dealing with disruptive moments. The choice between letting go or turning the chaos into part of the act.
The G's are driving that car. That makes sense to me, because there's white men in the G's. And these people are trying to get around discrimination and oppression. And you know how white dudes are. We know these roads. In fact, we built these roads. The rest of you buckle up, we'll get you to where you want to go. So the G's are just driving the car. Of course, next to the G's in the passenger seat is the L's. Everybody likes the L's, except for the G's. I don't know what that's about. I just know the G's don't like them that much. And the G's always say like little subliminal digs on them. It's unnecessary shit. It's not mean, but you know what I mean? They just be like, I wouldn't wear that.
Then, the comedian takes it a step further with a bizarre but effective punchline: the mall police. This sudden shift from cultural observations to an exaggerated, almost nonsensical reference adds an element of randomness that works in stand-up. The joke lands because it plays on an unspoken stereotype that minor conflicts in public spaces often lead to exaggerated responses. By predicting that the audience would have believed the situation more if mall police had been involved, the comedian highlights how absurd social interactions can be.
When that car can't get any more tense, the cues are a hitchhiker that they pick up on the road. Some white dude in booty shorts is walking down the freeway. The G's see him. That guy might be one of us. Hey, are you okay? Need some help? And he come over there with them booty shorts leaning on the window. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Lady? Whatever pronoun makes you feel comfortable in the back. Yeah. I don't really know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm gay or I'm straight or whatever. All I know for sure is that I really want to get in this car.
In today's comedy landscape, audiences occasionally witness clashes between performers and spectators who attempt to steer shows toward ideological debates. Yet comedians, armed with quick reflexes and a knack for improvisation, often turn these interruptions into opportunities for unscripted hilarity. These moments underscore the tension between comedy's boundary-pushing traditions and modern expectations of sensitivity.
Transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience. You will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gatsby is not funny.
What we witness here is a masterful display of comedic timing and audience interaction. The performer demonstrates an exceptional ability to weave between different comedic elements, from observational humor to audience engagement to unexpected metaphors. The way he builds tension and releases it shows a deep understanding of comedic structure.
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. I gotta tell you guys, I've probably been doing this 35 years now. And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that.
The contradictions here are stacking up like a precarious Jenga tower, and the situation only gets more complicated from here. One thing my father instilled in me was the importance of being a gentleman and treating women with respect. This of course ties into recognizing that there are distinct roles in society. The concept of traditional masculinity, where it's viewed as a man's responsibility to protect women, is under scrutiny. Some argue that feminism challenges this notion, but if that's the case, how can we expect men to step up and protect women if we're told that this role shouldn't even exist?
It's just a rule. You know, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
My personal stance is that men are meant to protect women, and that's part of the purpose for men's existence on Earth, to safeguard and support women.
Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie that he had seen on Amazon. No caption on the post or nothing like that, but apparently this movie had some, I don't know, anti-Semitic tropes or something. And it was some weird title like From Hebrew to Negro or something. And the NBA told me he should apologize, and he was slow to apologize. And then the list of demands to get back in their good graces got longer and longer, and this is where, you know, I draw the line. I know the Jewish people have been through terrible things all over the world, but you can't blame that on black Americans. You just can't. You know what I mean? Thanks for the one person that said that. A fair punishment would be he should just post a link to Schindler's List and y'all write your own captions. Kyrie Irving's black ass was nowhere near the Holocaust.
But now, if I'm being told that simply opening a door for a woman is somehow disrespectful to her, or that reinforcing the idea of male protection strengthens outdated gender roles, then don't come crying when negative situations arise. After all, the solution to poor behavior lies in good behavior. The response to vice should be virtue, not just social media hashtags and empty outrage.
I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not pussy, but that's like beyond pussy or impossible pussy. You know what I mean? It tastes like pussy, but that's not quite what it is it? It's not blood, that's beet juice.
His response to the question about women's support for Hillary Clinton and the feminist movement in light of the recent revelations about Hollywood feels like an exercise in deflecting blame. Rather than addressing the nuances of the issue, the speaker generalizes and places the responsibility on a broad, impersonal group, men and American society at large. The suggestion that harassment is part of a broader societal problem is not inherently wrong, but it oversimplifies the complex dynamics at play in specific situations like the Hollywood scandal.
I know, look, listen, I support the feminist movement, I do, in my own ways. When you guys did the Women's March, I tried to go and support you. And none of my friends would go with me. I asked all the fellas, none of them wanted to go. I tried everything. Come on, y'all, it's gonna be there. They was like, nope. So what I did is I called my friend Ange. Ange is a black woman, comedy writer, and she's dope. Matter of fact, she's the only woman that I know personally that pays her ex-husband alimony. And she sounds just like a man when she does it. Broke and all that. She says all that shit. So I hit Ange up. I hit her on the text. And all I did, I texted her. I said, Ange, are you going to the Women's March? And she texted me back, and this is real text. She said, I hope those white get tear gassed.
In this case, he is calling for a more direct and straightforward approach to addressing issues like harassment and assault. They suggest that it's not difficult to find solutions, like sending someone to jail or taking extreme measures, but also express confusion at the lack of clear acknowledgement of the cultural factors at play. There's a palpable sense of frustration as the speaker questions why they're being asked to explain something they feel is unnecessary, particularly when they believe they haven't personally contributed to the issue at hand.
There's a problem in that feminist movement, isn't there? From its inception in America, there's always been a racial component. When Susan B. Anthony was having that meeting and Sojourner Truth's black ass showed up. Read your history books. All them white women asked Sojourner Truth not to speak. They didn't want to conflate the issues of women's rights and slavery. But you know how black Sojourner Truth went up there anyway.
A large portion of the argument revolves around consent and power dynamics. They tackle the concept of transactional relationships, questioning whether it's possible to define a situation like Hollywood's casting Couch as inherently wrong. They point out that while feminist theory calls it out for being about power imbalance, the left's libertarian leaning suggests that if someone consents to such an exchange, it's not a problem. This sparks a larger debate on the cultural divide between different schools of thought regarding consent, agency, and power.
I supported the Me Too movement, but the whole time I thought that the way they handled that was stupid. It was white. It was like they were doing shit like going to the Golden Globes, and all of them would be like, let's all go to the Golden Globes and wear black dresses, give these men a piece of our minds. Bitch, that is not gonna work. You think Martin Luther King's gonna be like, I want everybody to keep riding the bus but wear matching outfits?
Then, the conversation swings to Bud Light. His response hits like a sledgehammer. He's not just speaking his mind, he's calling out everything he feels is wrong with the world, as if to say, this is where I stand, and if you don't like it, tough. His words land heavy, and the audience feels every ounce of his conviction. Whether you agree with him or not, it's hard to ignore the fire he's throwing.
Because if these women were serious, you know what they would have done? They all would have fired their agents. And they would have went to the mailroom of one of these big agencies and found a woman that was her hump in there and said, if you want to talk to us, then you have to talk to her. And if they did that, and she would be big, and they would be big, and nobody would get fed to Harvey Weinstein. But did they do that? No.
The conversation then takes an even more bizarre turn. He starts questioning the concept of gender identity, bringing in an absurd example. His remarks border on satire, throwing logic out the window. To him, it seems anyone can identify as anything, and the line between what is considered absurd and what isn't gets dangerously blurry. The whole debate spirals into a mess of contradictions, making it almost impossible to take him seriously.
The feminist movement needs to be very successful is a male leader. I'll do it. I will. I will lead you women to the promised land. I will make sure you get equal pay for equal work. I will make sure that nobody harasses you or you on the job. I will protect all of your interests. And all that I ask for in return is that you suck my And now we're right back to square one, aren't we?
He tries to steer the conversation back, but Strickland's point about respecting trans people who go through the full transition process gets lost in the absurdity of his reasoning. He doesn't respect those who simply declare their identity, calling them out for wanting all the rights of women without going through the struggle of transitioning. He takes this to a ridiculous extreme, imagining a 6'4" male athlete who suddenly identifies as a woman and dominates women's sports, breaking records just by changing their gender identity.
There's laws, the mean laws. In our country, North Carolina passed a law once that said a person in North Carolina must use the restroom that corresponds with the gender they were assigned on their birth certificate. No. No, that's not a good law. That's a mean law. No American.
This whole exchange feels more like a stand-up comedy routine gone wrong than a reasoned debate. The gaps in logic are wide enough to drive a truck through, and yet Strickland continues to dig in his heels, fully convinced of his position. Just when you think the conversation can't get any more intense, it does. His words touch on a history of oppression, trying to play the "we're the ones who've been oppressed" card, but it comes off as disingenuous and disconnected from reality.
And let's say that I'm in Walmart doing a little shopping with my family. Now, I should tell you, if that ever happens in real life, you should know that my dreams didn't work out. But let's say something goes horribly wrong, and there I am in Walmart with the poor whites rummaging around for mediocre goods and services. And then I gotta go to the restroom. So I excuse myself from my family. I go to the men's room. Now I'm standing at the urinal taking a leak. And this is what this law is gonna do. And suddenly, a woman walks into the men's room. I'm gonna be like, that's strange. And then she stands shoulder to shoulder with me at the urinal. I'm gonna be like, what's going on with you? And then she hikes her skirt up and pulls a real live, meaty out. And what do you think I'm gonna say? Thank God she's in here with me. At least now I know my family's safe.
This takes the form of a verbal ping pong match, wild swings with no real connection, a display of unnecessary effort without much substance. Then the focus shifts when Pierre steps in, questioning whether transgender people are welcomed in Canada. A comment about the Conservative Party's policies on bathrooms and healthcare sparks a counterattack from someone who insists on the importance of truth over disinformation. His reply is swift: disinformation is rampant, and what's needed is honest dialogue. The exchange quickly escalates into a mess of contradictions, leaving viewers confused about what the actual point of the conversation is.
I was doing a nightclub in Oakland 16 years ago, and this is the first time that the trans community ever got mad at me that I knew about. And I was nobody. I just quit Chappelle's show. It was like a nothing hole-in-the-wall club, and I was doing some transgender jokes in Oakland. It was 16 years ago. My pronoun game was not as nice as it is today. I went too far. I said things like tranny and shit. I didn't know these words were bad, and a woman stood up.
The tone is sharp as he claims he doesn't mind what people are, but the constant bombardment of rainbow flags is triggering. The conversation then takes an odd turn. He challenges the absence of a straight flag, suggesting that there's a double standard in visibility. Why is there no recognition for straight people? Why can't straight pride be acknowledged as openly as gay pride?
All the same things she had said to me about me in the paper. Misquoted the jokes and was calling me transphobic. And again, all these words, I'd never heard them before. But every time that I talk with anybody from that community since, they always repeat the talking points from that article. My least favorite of which being, and I hate this phrase, they say I was punching down on them. Punching down.
The energy in the room shifts dramatically as the next figure, Vivek Ramaswamy, enters the scene. His approach is both confident and scattershot, like a cat walking on a keyboard. Chaotic, but somehow compelling, he refuses to bend the knee to what he describes as the modern wokeism religion. He also takes a firm stance against vicious racial discrimination, but rejects the idea of condemning white supremacy just because he's asked to. This moment is an uncomfortable mix of bravado and deflection as he spins the narrative into an accusation that the media plays a gotcha game.
People say things to me all the time, but what you don't know is it does affect me. I think about it. And that one bothered me a lot. I was driving home, couldn't stop thinking about what this woman said because she's not the first woman that said that to me. It's puzzling. You know what I mean? Like, what could I possibly be saying that would make these bitches think I hate women? Couldn't figure it out. So you know what I did? I Googled the dictionary definition of a feminist just to make sure.
The discussion kicks off with an intense exchange where the guest delivers a fiery response to what they see as an oversaturation of a certain symbol in public spaces. The argument quickly escalates into a broader debate about representation, visibility, and perceived double standards. The frustration is clear as they question why one group's identity is so prominently displayed while others feel unseen.
Talking about the right thing. And do you know, sir, what the dictionary definition of a feminist is? I didn't either. Listen to this. Webster's defines a feminist as a human being, not a woman, a human being that believes in equal rights for women. I was shocked that that's what that meant. Because by that definition, I would consider myself a feminist, and I didn't even know that at the time.
The reporter presses on, questioning whether reinstating banned figures, some known for controversial views, signals a prioritization of unrestricted speech over combating harmful content. But the response is immediate and sharp. Who gets to decide what qualifies as misinformation? The room momentarily falls into a rhetorical limbo. Does one authority have the final say, or is truth a matter of perspective? The tension is palpable as both sides refuse to concede concede ground.
I'll be real with you, and I know nobody gives a fuck what I think anyway. I'm not for abortion. Oh, shut up, nigga. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it either. It all depends on who I get pregnant.
The reporter presses on, questioning whether reinstating banned figures, some known for controversial views, signals a prioritization of unrestricted speech over combating harmful content. But the response is immediate and sharp. Who gets to decide what qualifies as misinformation? The room momentarily falls into a rhetorical limbo. Does one authority have the final say, or is truth a matter of perspective? The tension is palpable as both sides refuse to concede ground.
I don't care what your religious beliefs are or anything. If you have a dick, you need to shut the fuck up on this one. Seriously. This is theirs. The right to choose is their unequivocal right. Not only do I believe they have the right to choose, I believe that they shouldn't have to consult anybody, except for a physician, about how they exercise that right. Gentlemen, that is fair. And ladies, to be fair to us, I also believe if you decide to have the baby, a man should not have to pay. That's fair. If you can kill this mother, I can at least abandon him. It's my money, my choice.
Watching this exchange unfold is like witnessing a high-wire act with no safety net. Bold, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. The push and pull between absolute free speech and content moderation remains unresolved, leaving the audience with more questions than answers.
Try some impressions out. I only got two. All right, the first impression's kind of dumb, but I like it. This is my impression. You ready? This is my impression of the founding fathers of America when the Constitution was being written. You ready? Here it goes. Hurry up and finish that Constitution, nigger. I'm trying to get some sleep.
The tables turn fast. If you haven't used the feed in weeks, how do you know the content has changed? The question cuts deep, exposing the fragility of the claim. It's a checkmate moment, and the interviewer is visibly scrambling for a response. They pivot, citing external organizations that have reported a rise in harmful content, but the pushback is swift. People say all sorts of things. Where's the proof? Once again, there's no solid answer, just an awkward attempt to move on.
All right, the next one. The next one's a little harder. I want to see if you can guess who it is I'm doing an impression of. All right, let me get into character. You got to guess who it is, though. Okay, here it goes. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm going to try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're finished. Who's that? That's you. That's what the audience sounds like to me. That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all niggas is the worst I've ever tried to entertain in my life.
The debate barrels forward, no longer about just Twitter, but about media accountability as a whole. What started as a straightforward interview has transformed into a full-blown interrogation on both sides. And in the end, the audience is left wondering, who's really holding the power here?